The countdown to terror has begun.
The signal's getting stronger now. It won't be long.
Come quick! The monster done ate my pappy!
Do you really think this was a bear, Doc?
Highly unlikely.
First man on Mars. Once he was human.
There's something shiny in the rock. This is really starting to sting.
Now a bloodthirsty monster, killing and devouring the young. And not so innocent.
Let's take a look at this, huh?
I'm gonna blast the thing back to hell.
Oh, shit.
First man on Mars.
You mean there's aliens out here? Shit. I don't want to get ducted and anal.
This film is not rated.
The following feature has been rated R by the Motion Picture Association of America.
Blood on Satan's claw was like a horrible disease, highly contagious and deadly dangerous.
Hail, Behemoth, spirit of the dark, take thou my blood, my flesh, my skin, and walk. Holy Behemoth, father of my life, speak now, come now, rise now from the forest, from the
You can't trust your mother. Your best friend. The neighbor next door. 1 minute, they're perfectly normal. The next, rabid.
A new terror fills the screen with horror. Where are these women going dressed in mourning? Leading a young girl to sacrifice. Mystery surrounds the horsemen from the ancient past.
He'd have said they died 6 centuries ago. I'm being given up to them so others may be saved. Hurry, you must get away, sir.
I won't leave you here.
Evil always has a way of breaking free.
Tommy's gone. It's hard to believe. It was a good idea not to let your little brother come to the funeral.
Yeah, I don't like this place.
Something weird is going on up there.
You play a good game, boy. But the game is finished.
For 2 million years in these subterranean caves, a creature of superhuman evil was entombed in a wall of ice. Travel with us on a journey into a world where nightmare becomes reality.
Are you telling me that an ape that lived 2 million years ago got onto that crate, killed the baggage man and put him in there?
Yes, I am. It's alive. It must be.
Get ready for Starlight Slaughter.
Hello?
Created by Tobe Hooper, the maker of last year's screen sensation, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. What happens to these people in Starlight Slaughter will give you the most chilling, terrifying 90 minutes you ever spent in a theater.
Those damned arachnids, folks. They're everywhere. I'm telling you, insects, arachnids, they're all over the place. Of course, it is summer, and you know how that goes, especially in the South. They just come out and they want human flesh. That's what I'm talking about right now, and I think that you know what the hell I'm talking about with these damned insects. In particular, and occasionally some flesh-eating spiders, okay? Well, a lot of people don't like to talk about those, but they exist. Well, your old pal Horror Mike is drinking a Horror Mike's Harder Lemonade tonight, folks. It's been a hell of a week. An eventful week, definitely. And I'd like to welcome everyone to the Horror Mike Show on this fine and fiendish Friday evening. Tonight, we continue on with the fabulous 1970s and part 2 of the 1970s sci-fi horror and exploitation film Bonanza. Okay, this is part 2 of what will probably be a 5-part series. The more I get into this, the bigger it gets. So that's just the way it is, folks. I mean, we're scratching the surface with these first couple of shows. There's quite a lot, okay? And the thing about it is this. I'm going to mention this towards the end of the show as well. You're going to want to see next week's show. You're going to want to be here live for next week's show. Why? Why, you ask? Why, Horror Mike? What the hell do you have lined up? Well, let's talk about 1970s extreme horror cinema. That is what I'm talking about for next Friday night, folks. The most controversial, the most banned, the most extreme horror cinema in the 1970s. We're covering it on this show, okay? Watch out, YouTube. Good Lord, they're going to get me again. As you may know, last week they literally pulled the entire show. Okay, we did the live show, 1970s part 1, and they just simply removed it for violating community guidelines, which was like 5 seconds of nudity. According to them, they showed me where on the timeline where it was, and indeed, yeah, it was chick with the tatus and you know, the breastises naked and all that stuff, and they removed the entire 2.5 hour show. So as you may know, if you look at my channel to watch my videos, what I did is I recreated the show. I made a condensed version, a 30-minute version, and that 30-minute version did 10 times better than the actual live show. I mean, it's about to hit 20,000 views in 5 days since I actually uploaded it Sunday afternoon. That is more than pretty much every live show that I've ever done. So what I guess I'm saying here, folks, is that be looking for more of that. in the future, I will be doing condensed versions of pretty much all of the live shows, because that's a great way to go. There ain't no doubt about that. Horror Mike's very happy about that. Look, it generates some controversy. They banned my show. Well, then I can actually take advantage of that, and I did. Oh boy, did I! So that's what's going on with that, folks. And next week, who knows? They may ban that show. I'm not sure, but I'm telling you what. There's stuff on Tubi. Yeah, believe it or not, there are several films on Tubi that were banned. Very controversial films, horror films of the 1970s that received X ratings, were banned, had all kinds of problems. We'll be looking at those, absolutely all those, and of course others that are not on Tubi next week. But next week is extreme 1970s horror. The most out there stuff that ever amazingly happened to get distribution and shown in theaters. That's what I'm talking about here, folks. The 1970s. I mean, there's some great stuff. There's stuff that you know. There's probably some stuff that you may never have heard of, but it's all extreme. And we're going to look at it next week. Not only that, but I'm going to do a bit of a giveaway next week, folks. And it's going to be quite great. I think what I'm going to do, I was thinking I might do a, trivia challenge, but I think not. I think what I'm going to do next week is during the night, like for instance, in the chat, who knows, you get 60, 70, 80 comments, right? During the night. I don't know. It could be more, could be less. I am going to take just 3 random numbers. For example, 3, 29, and 48 on a piece of paper. It's going to be in my pocket. Okay. When I start the show, I will show you the paper. It will not move from my pocket. Then at the end of the show, or towards the end of the show, I'm going to remove that. I'm going to read off the 3 numbers, and those 3 numbered the comments as they come in, like comment number 3, comment number 28, comment number 49. They are the winners. There are 3 winners. I have got something that you're going to dig the hell out of. It is from the 1970s. It is definitely a collectible. No doubt about that. If you watch my show, you've probably seen it. I just happened to get my claws on 3, folks, and I've got them for you next week. That's not all. That's not all, folks. Next week, as you know, part of the show is going to be covering our next installment of the Sci-Fi Horror Book of the Month Club. And next week, as I've been talking about for the last several weeks, we're going to be talking about John W. Campbell's Frozen Hell, a.k.a. Who Goes There, which was adapted into, basically 3 films. The Thing from Another World, produced by Howard Hawks in the 1950s. John Carpenter's The Thing from 1982. And, of course, the prequel, which came out in 2011, also called The Thing. Okay? So this is the novella that they found 45 more pages of manuscript that was long lost. Found it just several years ago. So Frozen Hell was born. This is a relatively new book. I think it's from 2019. And there is also Who Goes There. Now, if you go on YouTube, you can listen to the audio version, narrated version of Who Goes There. So you don't need to really necessarily buy the book. But we're going to talk about the book, Who Goes There or Frozen Hell. They're, extremely similar. There's simply 45 more pages in for Frozen Hell. And how that compares, for example, to John Carpenter's The Thing, Howard Hawks' The Thing from Another World from the 1950s, and of course the 2011 prequel to The Thing called, strangely enough, The Thing. Okay. So all three of those films, we're going to see what did they leave out? What did they leave in? Now, if you've read either novella, Who Goes There or Frozen Hell, you know what I'm talking about. Some very surprising stuff. Now, keep in mind, folks, this was originally written in the 1930s, right? This is a few decades before Howard Hawks would produce the first adaptation, right, of Who Goes There, the thing from another world. So then you move on to 1982, and we're talking, God, 45 plus years, around 45 years later, John Carpenter reels it back in. He takes Who Goes There, right? And he makes a more accurate adaptation of John W. Campbell's novella. Okay, so it is more accurate. It is different. And we're going to be looking at the differences and talking about those. So it should be really quite cool for next week. And part three of the 1970s series, which is extreme 1970s horror. Get ready, okay? Take some Xanax, because that might help you for the extreme nature of our program next week. Who knows? You know, they may just boot the damn thing off of YouTube. I don't know, but we're going to find out, okay? And maybe I'll just label it 18 and over only. Maybe I'll just do that. Maybe that'll help. I don't know. I really don't know. I don't understand the way that YouTube really works. Because they seem to let other stuff go, like full nudity in videos, and then they just, get random, like my program last Friday. However, I'm not complaining. I did way better with the condensed 30-minute version than I ever would have done with that live show. So in reality, it was kind of a godsend that they removed the video. Absolutely incredible, folks. So that's what's going on next week. You're not going to want to miss next week's show. It's going to be it's going to be one hell of a show, folks, with it's the same item. I've got three of them. It's a collectible from the 1970s. As I said before, if you watch this show, you may know what you may have seen it. Let's put it that way. You may have seen it. But I've got three of them. And I've also got something else. And it has to do, I've got something for everybody next week, as a matter of fact. And it has to do with the Sci-Fi Horror Book of the Month Club. So in reality, everybody is getting something next week. It's just that there are three other items kind of specific to the extreme horror show that we're going to be looking at next week. So there you go. Get ready. It's going to be a hell of a show. Tonight's going to be a hell of a show, folks. We got insects and arachnids attacking, giant insects, giant spiders, just tearing the hell out of people. And if that wasn't enough, we've got, the luscious Ingrid Pitt as that sexy and sultry vampire from the Vampire Lovers, naturally, and a slew of other films. Horror Express, one of my favorite sci-fi horror films of all time. Peter Cushing, Christopher Lee. What a great freaking movie. I mean, I cannot say enough about Horror Express. That thing is just, Telly Savalas is in that freaking movie, folks. I know you guys have probably seen it. And if you haven't, why not? It's fantastic. It's really a great movie. And Eaten Alive. Now, Eaten Alive, that was something, it was close to being part of the extreme show next week, but it's not really quite that extreme. It is Tobe Hooper, right? Now, Tobe Hooper, of course, made Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Well, he made this other film called Eaten Alive, right? I remember seeing it in the drive-in, folks, back in the day in the 70s as a kid. right? And I mean, it's got its moments. There's some kind of gory parts to it, but you know, it's nothing like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I mean, in terms of intensity, just sheer intensity. Not as far as I'm concerned, yeah, it's just not like that at all. But in any case, at the very beginning of the show, guys, you saw my a trailer for my film, First Man on Mars, which is available. Let me get that in here. There we go. Which is available on eBay. So that is the link if you want to check it out on eBay. And also, well, I need to present the screen here for a second, folks, because, yeah, here it is. It's in here. There we go. I just want to point this out. Okay. Yeah, it's just look, it's the end, folks. It's the end of the line for Pre-Code Horror Comics Original Art Edition. Here's what's going on. There are 3 left on eBay. That's it. I literally have 3 left. 5 people have it in their cart. So it's gone. It's going to be gone this weekend. I'm giving you a heads up because that's it. If you were at all thinking about getting a copy, now's the time, because yeah, it's just not going to last. They're going to be gone by Sunday. So I wanted to give you guys a heads up on that because yeah, it's definitely coming down to the end. But without further ado, folks, let's get to the chat, because I noticed a few people have chimed in. See what we got. Dave James is here. Hello, Dave. How are you doing? Great to see you. I Am One of Us is here. Hello, I Am One of Us. 8-Bit Snake Boy is here. Hello, 8-Bit. I see Ingrid Pitt, and that's really all you need in the thumbnail to get my full attention. Indeed. Thomas Fairfall is here. Hello, Thomas. Great to see you, my good man. 8-Bit says, Phantasm and the Promise of Giant Ants with Joan Collins and spiders attacking giant. Well, the Shatner is in one. There ain't no doubt about that. But of course, really the big one, pun intended, is the giant spider invasion. Oh, yes. Ain't no doubt about it. Radamus is here. Hello, Radamus. Great to see you, my good man. Apex Comics is here. Get her, spiders. Indeed. They love those babes. The spiders, they're just attracted to those females there. Blood on Satan's Claw is absolutely mental. It really weirded me out when I first saw it. Yes, that's another freakish flick that we're looking at tonight, folks. Yeah. Was it Linda Hayes? Is that the chick that's in it? She's really hot. She also adds another dimension to that film. That's what I'm getting at here. Good Lord. Illustrious even. Hell yes, vampire lovers, of course. You know, good God. Yeah, of course, in this 1970 series, folks, Hammer and Amicus and others, British producers, companies, production companies, are all over it because they had great freaking movies in the 1970s. Good Lord. It was just astounding what was going on there. Just in the UK alone. That's what I'm saying. Just, absolutely fantastic. Werewolf by Lunchtime is here. Hello, Werewolf. Let's go back to the 70s when everything was orange and brown. Good Lord. Love me some vampire lovers. Oh, yes. Oh, Ingrid Pitt. Ingrid Pitt, folks. I'm telling you. I always like to scratch the surface before I dive in. It's 1:10 here, and I've already opened up a beer. Excellent 8-bit. I've got my Horror Mike's Harder Lemonade here, folks. We have a celebrity star of the werewolf nudist colony werewolf by lunchtime. Aha, let's make it happen. Great job, too, Horror Mike. You got a like for me. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Yeah. Well, it's YouTube, Apex. Or maybe some butthurt loser, complained to YouTube about it and got the show banned. But the big joke is, of course, on them, because the video that I made about the show made more money and was far bigger than the live show would have ever been. So that is quite hilarious. I love it. Steve Harrison is here. Hello, Steve Harrison. How you doing? Too many potatoes. Ghost Pepper is here. Hello, Ghost Pepper. Old black and white movie freaks. Yeah, we are covering the 30s, Ghost Pepper, and that's going to be one of the films we cover. We see we're going back in time, folks. Right now, we're at the 70s. Of course, we covered the 90s, got into the 80s, 4 parts of the 80s. And now we're doing the 70s. We're going to the 60s and 50s. We're going to kind of skip the 40s a bit because really not much going on in the 40s. People may disagree with me, but it was a pretty light decade, okay, for science fiction and horror, in my opinion. The 30s kicked ass, and the 20s was actually pretty good, too. So we're definitely going back to the 30s. It's just an amazing, once the talkies kicked in, all these people were like, yeah, we're going to make the most kick-ass science fiction and horror films ever. And they did. Okay. There ain't no doubt about that. It was the early 30s, and it was a cinematic revolution, folks. Frozen Hell 2019. There you go. I hope I make it to the end of the show. I have to leave at 10:45 a.m. 10:45. Yes, I think so. I think it's going to go to 10:30. Werewolf. 8-bit says, hell yeah, I need to pick that up. I also need to pull out a similar novella set on a spaceship that may predate Who Goes There. I have it here somewhere. Okay. Steve says the preview that showed bare breasts. Now, that was another part of the video, Steve. Yes, there is a shot of this woman with pasties. It's not that scene. It's the scene in the ritual outdoors. And there's a woman wearing a robe, and this other woman takes the robe off and starts kissing her. And she's just totally naked. That's the part that they got me on, not the pasties. It's in one of my pulp magazines. Excellent. I had a small PVC figure based on the book cover's version of the thing. And Enrique Douglas says, que bone legal. Okay, there we go. Steve says, as long as you don't get strikes, you might be onto something. Yes. Ghost Pepper saying hi. Steve says, I watched a great copy of Furiosa last Friday. Huh. Yeah. That's one I'm going to avoid. But here we go. 8-bit says, I got Mike's Pre-Code Horror Comics book today. It was excellent to find it waiting in my post. Aha! Excellent. 8-bit. That's fantastic, my good man. Glad to hear it. And I hope you enjoy it. Thanks for your patronage as well, 8-bit. Horror Express. That's one you got to get. You got to catch that. Steve says, Eaten Alive has Morticia Addams in it and an eerie Tobe Hooper feel. A new take on a horror house you don't want to be in. Yeah. It was definitely a weak follow-up to Texas Chainsaw, but it's got its moments. Well, there's 3 left, literally, folks. There's 3 signed and numbered copies left. And yeah, that's so there you go. I'm just saying I had to put it out there because they're going to be gone by Sunday. That's all I'm saying. So if you're thinking about it, you might want to take advantage of that. Radama says, I'll watch almost anything with Ingrid Pitt in it. Yes. Kevin Hellon is here. Hello, Kevin, my good fiend. How are you doing, sir? Werewolf says, how long have you been doing these Friday live streams, Mike? What decade is it, Werewolf? That's what I'm saying. Yeah. I remember back in the 56, 28 dial-up days when you could only have a 10K photograph and it was black and white. I don't, something like that. No, a few years, Werewolf. A couple of years. All right. Okay, folks. Now, let me. There was something else I wanted to show you guys. Oh, yeah. Well, there's a couple of things. I'm going to remove this. Okay, as I told you guys, there it is. Steve hit it. Steve says, I remember Horror Mike on the radio sponsored by Ovaltine. That is great. Good Lord, man. Okay, so I just dug these out as I was going through. I've got, this is a small pile, but not insignificant. And we're going to be looking at a lot of these films, but I just thought I'd show you some more in my physical media collection as far as 70s films go. This for me was a must. Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things. Bob Clark, who also made Black Christmas, the original Black Christmas, and A Christmas Story with Darren McGavin. The same guy. Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things. This is the 30th anniversary exhumed edition, folks. If you haven't seen Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things, you got to check it out, man. It is just fantastic. So there you go. Great, just great low budget zombie flick, Another one we're definitely going to be covering, Dark Star, John Carpenter's, first feature film. And of course, Dan O'Bannon is in it as Pinback. You gotta, if you like sci-fi comedies, this is way up there on the spectrum. I think you have to admit that. And it is the Hyperdrive edition, this particular one, as it says, packed with 3 hours of bonus features on 2 DVDs. Yeah, that's right, folks. It's Dark Star. And we're going to be covering this as well. Needless to say, and you've seen this, you saw this with the initial episode, some video from Flesh Gordon. And absolutely one of my favorite comedies of all time, Flesh Gordon, because it's so damn good. The animation, the effects, everything, and the fact that it's, got some of these people that are normally porn stars that are in this film. The mix is just something else. I think it's one of the greatest takeoffs of anything ever made. It's just fantastic. The stop motion animation is brilliant. Flesh Gordon. It's not on Tubi. I don't know if it's ever been on Tubi, actually. But one of those great 70s films. God, amazing. Another great one. I think this is on Tubi. I'm going to have to check. A Boy and His Dog. Of course. I love that cover. It's a rather unusual cover. It's not the typical one that you see. Happy face in the mushroom cloud. Oh, yes. Love this movie. Remember seeing this movie, God, at least a few times. you know, at the drive-in at least once back in the 70s, you know. Fantastic. Harlan Ellison, L.Q. Jones directed, you know, and one of the very few films that Ellison, or adaptations of Ellison's works, that he actually liked, with a couple of exceptions, of course. Back to the Doller, Don Doller, folks, The Alien Factor. Oh yeah, late 1970s, Don Doller's kicking ass with The Alien Factor. I just love that cover. And this one is on Tubi, folks. If you want to check out some low budget mayhem from Don Doller, check out The Alien Factor. This one is last, but definitely not least. And I'm showing you this now for a great reason, because this will be one of the extreme horror films being covered next week. This is Lucio Fulci's Zombie from 1979. As it says on the back, which is hilarious. I love this write-up. This is from Chaz Balin from Gore Zone. As gory as the law allows, Zombie set new standards for eyeball violence, arterial spurting, maggot infestations, topless skin diving, and zombie table manners. Zombie, Lucio Fulci. Guess what, folks? It just came on Tubi. It is brand new on the Tubi, so you can watch it if you'd like, because we're going to be talking about this movie. It's one of the extremes, okay, in horror films from the 1970s. And well, Lucio Fulci, man. There's a few other Italian gems that fit that category as well. So there you go. Let's get back to the chat before I dive into the movies. Oh, wait a second. Okay, I should stop that screen. Oh yeah, God, Jesus, I need to show you guys a bit of this. Hold on. Check this out before I get back to the chat. Check this out. Okay, you know the lone animator? He's a stop motion animator. I think his name is Richard Svensson. Richard Svensson. He's got a 2-minute reel of a lot of his stop motion stuff. We're going to check out just about a minute of it right now. I think you're going to dig the hell out of this. Check this out. But it's here, folks. It is here. We're going to start off with Attack of the Insects and Arachnids. As you can see, we got Kingdom of the Spiders, Giant Spider Invasion, and Empire of the Ants. I just thought I'd throw them together. These are the only freaking insect movies tonight. Okay. There will be a few more down the road, but I figured, look, these are all on Tubi. So let's check them out, shall we? Let's just check them out. Kingdom of the Spiders, of course, 1977. And indeed, this film stars William Shatner. As it says, 2 animal experts learn that thousands of tarantulas have changed their eating habits, putting their town at the center of an 8-legged nightmare. And you know, the funniest damn thing about this is that when you look at the starring lineup, you may notice somebody is missing from the lineup, and that's William Shatner, who's the freaking star of the freaking movie. He's not even, or he's one of the big, he's definitely one of the main stars in this film. And he's not even listed here. Directed by the one and only John Bud Cardos, also the drummer for Cheap Trick. No, just kidding. But in any case, let's see what Cardos has got cooking. Oh, yeah, Las Vegas Strangler. This 1960s. When we hit the 60s, that's one we're covering, folks. Hell's Angels on Wheels. This is all John Bud Cardos. Mutant, 1984. The Daytime Ended, 1979. The saving factor about The Daytime Ended is some really cool freaking David Allen stop motion animation. So, in any case, folks, it's Kingdom of the Spiders. It's on Tubi. I don't particularly recommend it. I mean, look, it's got some unintentional humor going on in the film, and it's just kind of plotting kind of film. That's all I'm saying. It's just not really that engaging. Now, Giant Spider Invasion is pretty much the same. 1975, but it's got giant spiders, folks. Big ass spiders that eat people. Okay, now that's a lot better. You know what I'm saying? You got to get the big ass spiders. As it says here, when a black hole in space opens, I'm just going to leave it at that. I'm so tempted. When a black hole in space opens, 2 NASA scientists must find a way to stop gigantic flesh-eating spiders from eating their way through Wisconsin. And needless to say, folks, that's a lot of cheese in this film. That's what I'm saying right now. Barbara Hale, amazingly enough, in this freaking movie, along with Steve Brody. And, yeah, look, I saw it. As a matter of fact, I'm sure I saw this one as well at the drive-in. There ain't no doubt about that. Check this out. I've got a trailer to the Giant Spider Invasion. And it's something you've got to see to believe, really.
In a small Wisconsin town, something was about to happen that would send shockwaves around the world. From another world to destroy the Earth. It was the Giant Spider Invasion.
Look at that!
I'm still measuring an X-ray shower from the ground level at a magnitude never before measured on Earth except a nuclear explosion.
Well, Doctor, it could be an abortive strike from a unfriendly power.
Oh, come on. You don't think a missile landed here?
I told you something landed here last night. Look, it's full of them.
I'm very concerned.
Well, frankly speaking, Doctor, so is the United States government.
All right, folks, that goes on for another 3 minutes. And except for that last sequence with the chick in her panties getting menaced by the giant spider, which is actually really good. I love that scene. Yeah, it's just it's unreal. It's like they make this freaking 4-minute trailer for the giant spider invasion. And it's kind of like, okay, what are you just trying to show some of the worst scenes from the film? What the hell is going on here? Except for that scene with the chick in the panties being menaced by the giant spider. So there you go. That's the giant spider invasion. It's on Tubi. I think they used like Volkswagens or something. They just built the spiders on top of Volkswagens and drove them around. Pretty much it. And Empire of the Ants is actually a step above. No doubt about that, from 1977. Of course, this is based upon the H.G. Wells story. And I think it may be the only adaptation of Empire of the Ants, to my knowledge. But Joan Collins, Robert Lansing, actually, good cast here. Bert I. Gordon, king of the giant insects, as we all know. Good old Bert I. Gordon. God, let's check. First, let's check and see what Gordon films they got on here. They got The Spider. Woo! The Boy and the Pirates. What the hell? Tormented. They got that one. Oh, God. War of the Colossal Beast. King Dinosaur. Nice. Okay. But in any case, as they... Oh, shit. God damn, they always do this. There we go. An aggressive land developer takes prospective buyers to a reclaimed swamp in the southeast, where they are attacked by huge genetically mutated ants. Good Lord. Yeah, I don't have a trailer for it. And we're leaving the ants, insect arachnids in favor of a little bit of supernatural and sci-fi horror now, folks. We got to get to the vampire lovers. I couldn't hold off a second longer. Ingrid Pitt is calling me. She's calling my name. Oh, yes, Ingrid. Ingrid, I'm listening. 1970, folks. Believe it or not, the vampire lovers. Holy Toledo. Let's check this out. 18th century Europe. A peaceful hamlet is ravaged by a seductive female vampire who has a thirst for blood of young women. There you go. Ingrid Pitt. Peter Cushing, also in the film, directed by Roy Ward Baker. Good God. Yeah, they also have Vampire Happening in here as well. But, yeah, Vampire Lovers is... They've got some really hot-looking vampire babes, including Ingrid Pitt, of course. And highly recommended. It is on Tubi. And I happen to have a little trailer for the film. Love the way they did the titles. They are so great. They did that for several, similar types of title graphics. Absolutely fantastic. Let's get back to the chat real quick here. I know a few people have chimed in. Let me get my glasses on here. God. Apex says Empire of the Ants with Joan Collins and Robert Lansing. Richard is getting a chortle. They cause heart attacks. I'm sure, Werewolf. The Empire of the Ants is pretty goofy, but kind of fun. Always good to see Joan Collins in a genre movie. Ida Lupino. That was, I think that's Barbara Hale in Giant Spider Invasion. Apex. She won those spiders by knocking over coconuts. Not as good as the squeaky-legged tarantula attack from the Beyond. That is a great one. The one that we covered for our 80s series. Werewolf by Lunchtime says, they make me stand on my couch while Mrs. Werewolf catches them, Kevin. 8-Bit says the Giant Spider Invasion is hilariously bad. It's a one-time watch, in my opinion. Yeah, pretty much. For a moment, I thought Mike's pet lion was asking to be fed again. Bert I did Magic Sword. Yeah, some stop motion in that one. You're absolutely correct. The Vampire Lovers equals yummy. Yes, I concur. Anything with Ingrid in it. Or Yvette Stuskart. Of course, Lust for a Vampire, as you guys may have recalled. We just covered that one. I believe it was last week. Madeline Smith, mega yummy. Steve says, and this week's reason the show is banned, the winner is Vampire Lovers. We'll see. Pussy. Well, I don't know if that's shown, but they're close to it. As I said last week, I realize I have 3 copies on DVD. No idea what that says about me. I don't know. I'm not sure about that one. 8-Bit. Left-handed Jedi. Ingrid Pitt. Is she related to Brad? 8-Bit says George Cole looks a bit lost without Arthur. George Cole, also star of the St. Trinians movies. Wow. Okay. I have to wake up Mrs. Soon 2024 horror with no equal. Oh God. There you go. Good Lord. That could be frightening. In any case, folks, check it out. Yeah. Next up, Eaten Alive, 1976. I remember seeing this at the drive-in. This is Tobe Hooper a few years after Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And as it says, God, this is wacky, man. This is just a wacky fucking movie. The short-fused owner of a dilapidated hotel in East Texas goes on a killing spree and uses his victims' bodies as chum for his pet crocodile. Oh, yeah, check out the cast, okay? You got Neville Brand, Mel Ferrer, Carolyn Jones, Marilyn Burns, returning from Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Stuart Whitman, and Robert Englund is also in this film. He's got to be like 20 years old. I swear to God, you'll see him in the trailer. And of course, directed by Tobe Hooper. Now, what other films are in here from Tobe Hooper? I don't think he did Gin. Did he? Oh, he did. Good Lord. Okay. He also, of course, did Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2 with Dennis Hopper. That's in there. Eaten Alive. There's the original Texas Chainsaw. Needless to say, that one's being covered next week on the Extreme 70s Horror Show. Okay, folks? Life Force. Tobe Hooper, Spontaneous Combustion. Oh, good old Tobe Hooper. My good fiends. Okay. All right. In any case, Eaten Alive, folks, it was released under several different titles. You guys may have seen it and not even know that, this is the film. strangely enough, this is how I saw it. It was eaten alive when it was released. Well, I guess when I was a young kid in California, so that was how it was released on the West Coast anyways, but it could have been released under a few other names. Here's the trailer though.
If you were one of the millions of moviegoers who were electrified by the unbearable suspense and sheer terror of Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho, get ready for Starlight Slaughter.
Hello?
Created by Tobe Hooper, the maker of last year's screen sensation, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Oh, no.
Marty Rustam presents Starlight Slaughter. Into this house of horror comes a handful of unsuspecting innocents. None of them will ever leave here alive.
You go back!
What happens to these people in Starlight Slaughter will give you the most chilling, terrifying 90 minutes you ever spent in a theater.
Who's there?
You got fat mouth, kid. One more word out of you and I'm gonna haul your ass in. You understand that?
No guest has ever checked out of the Starlight Hotel, a house of terror.
Yes, Starlight Slaughter, folks, aka Eaten Alive, aka something else. I remember there was another title for it. I don't remember what the hell, but it was definitely under several different titles. The Tobe Hooper film, the acting is really good. Neville Brand. I mean, look, the lineup. Mel Ferrer is in this freaking movie. Stuart Whitman. You can't deny that. It's really, and it's good. It's a good film. It's a really great drive-in film. Fantastic drive-in movie. Okay. They could have used a few more dollars for the alligator. That's it. That's all I'm going to say. That's it. They needed a few $100 more for that damn alligator. And it would have been much better. But look, it's on Tubi. Check it out, man. That's all I'm saying. It's definitely worth seeing at least once or twice. Ain't no doubt about it. I mean, it's Tobe Hooper. Okay, he knows how to do a film. He knows how to put a film together and make it very interesting. Let's put it that way. And, of course, supply the prerequisite amount of gore and, occasional TNA action. You know, let's put it that way. It's Eaten Alive. Next up, one of my favorite sci-fi horror films of all time. Way up there. I put it definitely in my top 10. Horror Express from 1972. It's got such a great story. It's so weird and so I don't know. There's something about this movie that I think it's just the fact that they're trapped on a train on the Trans-Siberian Express. As it says, an anthropologist transports the remains of a prehistoric ape aboard the Trans-Siberian Express, unaware that the ape harbors a dangerous secret. Yes, it's a real dangerous secret that could destroy mankind. In any case, so you got all these people trapped aboard a train, you know, the Trans-Siberian Express. You got fucking dead of winter. Nobody's going anywhere. They're stuck inside with this creature that is not of this world. And it's just really creepy and weird with a fantastic cast. Once again, I don't know what the hell is going on with Tubi and their credits, but as you can see here, it says starring Sylvia Tortosa and all these other people. Yeah. Well, it also had Peter Cushing, Christopher Lee, and Telly Savalas, none of which are listed here in the credits, which is really bizarre. But what a movie. If you guys haven't seen Horror Express, it's on Tubi. It's probably on YouTube as well, I would imagine. I think it's been shown on Creature Features. It's just a fantastic film, and I do have a trailer for it.
For 2 million years in these subterranean caves, a creature of superhuman evil was entombed in a wall of ice, waiting to be free, waiting to live again. Travel with us on a journey into a world where nightmare becomes reality.
Are you telling me that an ape that lived 2 million years ago got onto that crate, killed the baggage man and put him in there?
Yes, I am. It's alive. It must be.
Travel with us, if you dare, on the Horror Express.
We'll search the train and find it, whatever it is, and destroy it.
But if it's alive...
I want this kept quiet. I don't want to panic the passengers.
The malignant power of this creature is indestructible, transferring its force from mind to mind, from body to body.
Beast is not dead. I put 4 bullets into him.
You think evil can be killed with bullets? Satan lives.
The animal that you shot was only the host. It's alive in someone on this train.
You saw his eyes. One look at them and you're dead.
Anything that moves near that door, kill it!
Run. Run for your life. Hide, but you can't escape. No one can stop the fury and the terror of the Horror Express.
Fantastic. I love it. If you haven't seen it, check it out, man. It's on Tubi. It's on YouTube. It's just a great sci-fi horror film that goes beyond the typical type of film. It's actually got a really cool story. The creature is explained very well without giving much away, but it's definitely science fiction horror. Let's put it that way, folks. Very well done. Very well done film. Highly recommended. Let's get back to the chat. I noticed a few people chiming in. Let's see. 8-Bit says, I haven't seen Eaten Alive yet. Any good? Yes. Richard says, very good. Yes, I concur. Saw Eaten Alive at the drive-in. Yes, Kevin. As a matter of fact, we may have seen when it came out at the same freaking drive-in. You know what I'm saying? We were both there. I don't know if you saw it at the Jet or the Antelope Valley drive-in, but I saw it probably at the Jet. I probably saw it at the Jet in Lancaster, California, which is currently on fire, apparently. I don't know if you heard about that. Richard Upton is giving us the all Gators sign. Oh, yes. Left-handed Jedi is here. Hello, left-handed Jedi. 1-2, buckle your shoe. Richard gives a solid 6 crocodiles. 8-Bit says, good to hear you'll be covering Life Force. Matilda May is definitely... Yeah, actually, we did. In the 90s episode show, 8-Bit. But probably when I'm coming back around, once we hit the 30s... we're going to the 21st century. We're going to do 1 or 2 shows because, yes, there have been a couple of dozen really great horror and science fiction films out of the 21st century. There's no doubt about that. We need to cover them. And then we're going to go back to the 90s and probably cover Life Force again because it's worth covering twice, especially with Matilda May. Definitely food for the eyes. Oh, yes. Now, it was also, of course, based upon a book called The Space Vampires by Colin Wilson. Richard says, plenty of snappy dialogue in there, Kevin. Left-handed Jedi says, awesome movie. I think it's loosely based on Lovecraft's Color Out of Space, if I remember right. Which movie were you talking about? I don't know. It was something. I saved the stream. Mike, the train location adds a touch of class to Horror Express. Yeah, I love it. Look, that whole idea, the concept in a horror film where people are trapped in some location, some remote location, such as in The Thing. You know, they're in the Antarctic. They're at their, remote outpost. They're going nowhere, right? Well, it's the same thing on Horror Express. All these people are trapped on this train. They ain't going anywhere. They're in fucking the middle of Siberia. It's like dead of winter. And they're at the whim of this creature that is beyond their understanding. And he's not a pleasant creature either. Radama says, I'll watch anything with Helga Linie in it. I want my mummy. Very expressive. I always get Horror Express confused with Terror Train. It was more sci-fi than horror. Yeah, there's definitely heavy sci-fi element. Lisa Roberts is with us. Hello, Lisa. Welcome to the show. Skull, stab, and not happy about it. And I would agree with that. Lisa Roberts. 8-Bit says, Nightmare at 20,000 feet was pulling the same kind of trick. Yeah, that's another one where, of course, yeah, you're definitely stuck on a plane. There ain't no doubt about it. You can't just roll off a plane like you could a train. But Dave James says, if I'm not mistaken, Cushing's wife had passed away, and Christopher Lee got him into the movie to get him out of his depression. You may be correct. I think I read something about that, Dave James. I think you are right with that. Rasputin, yes, there is Rasputin the Mad Monk aboard the train as well, folks. Werewolf says, I recognize those guys from Star Wars. No one rocks a bald head better than Telly Savalas. Eat your heart out, Vin Diesel, yes. There's an old Shatner film, Terror at 37,000 feet, which is actually really good. I like that film. That film, I saw that as a kid. That's got to be 70s, right? That's like, I want to say mid-70s Left-Handed Jedi. And that left an impression. I mean, you guys know it. I think people would agree in the chat, people watching the show. The 1970s had an extraordinary amount of great television horror films, made for TV horror films. You know, of course, you had the Night Stalker, Night Strangler, what was it? The Norliss tapes, which is fantastic. Terror at 37,000 feet, Trilogy of Terror. What was that with the little potato head monsters? The People Under the Stairs, whatever the hell it was called. Remember that? Gargoyles was in the 70s. I mean, there were quite a few. And that one, what was the one, you guys? I just saw this. It's so fucking good. I highly recommend it. I know one thing. It's on Creature Features. Robert Culp is in it. They're in an outpost. Once again, they're stuck in the North Pole or Antarctica. And they've been doing research with chimps. And some of the chimps have become very intelligent. It's like something like A Cold Night of Death. It's something like that. A Cold Night of Death. That film, that's another 70s flick, is creepy as hell with these chimpanzees. Oh my God. Great freaking movie, man. Another one. There's a ton of them. The 70s is just absolutely fantastic, you know, for horror films specifically. Now, there were some good science fiction films made during the 70s that were, you know, made for TV. Horror Express must have been a fun gig for Telly Savalas. I bet. Unusual for Telly Savalas. Gotham City Comics is here. Hello, Gotham City. Werewolf says that's a Twilight Zone episode, Left-Handed Jedi. Nope. No, it's a actual made-for-TV movie, Werewolf, called Terror at 37,000 feet. You can look it up on YouTube. It is on Creature Features on YouTube. Who asked Holly? Hello, Holly. Hello, Mike, and everyone new to this channel. Welcome to the channel, to the show. Holly, great to see you. 8-Bit says Dave Jane's Nightmare at 20,000 feet. That's Twilight Zone. There's two. That is a Twilight Zone, but there's a film called, what was it again? Jesus. Terror at 37,000 feet. I think it's Terror at 37,000 feet, right? And that is a made-for-TV 1970s film with William Shatner. And it's really actually pretty good. I mean, look, a lot of these films in the 70s, the made-for-TV films, suffered from low budgets. So some of the effects aren't as good as they could have been. You guys know what I'm talking about. You know, after the Night Stalker, Night Stalker was really well done. Of course, with vampires, you don't have to do too much as far as special makeup effects. It was all with the script and the direction, Dan Curtis, and great screenplay and all that stuff. Great acting, obviously. But the series, the Night Stalker series, they spent like, I don't know, 20 cents on the special effects. Come on, man. Come on. Werewolf says, hi, Holly. Welcome to one of the best shows on YouTube. There you go, folks. An endorsement from my favorite chatster. I love Werewolf. Of course, Werewolf by Lunchtime, folks. He is in Australia, which means that he is 14 hours into the future, which is why I often get stock tips from Werewolf. Okay. Werewolf by Lunchtime. My good man. He's a great guy. One hell of a mensch. Let's put it that way. Apex says, The Space Vampires by Colin Wilson. That is it. That is Life Force, folks. Horror Express, yes. Highly recommended, people. It's on Tubi. Richard says, okay, it's a bit late, so I'm off. Good stream, Mike. I have subs, so I hope to catch you another time. Excellent. Thank you, Richard. I appreciate you being here, and have a great weekend, my good man. Best acting in the 70s. Shout out to your third Night Stalker video this week. Oh, Mike. Yeah. The Night Stalker, the third movie that is yet to be made, folks. I did a video on it. There was a film, a script written by Richard Matheson and William Nolan, two great writers. They wrote the script called The Night Killers, which was the proposed third Night Stalker film. Okay. Instead of making the film, they opted to make the series. So they tabled the film, made the series, and the third film to this date has not been made. Now, that's not to say that they may not, Dan Curtis apparently still owns the rights to The Night Killers. So he can do whatever the hell he wants with it, apparently. Who knows? Here we go. Left-handed Jedi, terror at 37,000 feet, 1973. William Shatner kicking royal butt. Potato gargoyles. Yes, Kevin, that's what I'm talking about. It was like something like the people under the stairs, but it's not the people under the stairs. And there are these little, like 3-foot high potato headed looking creatures. It's a 1970s made for TV film. It was remade by Guillermo del Toro, and he made the creatures into these like monkey monster looking things. I forget what the hell. Pete Bogg is here. Hello, Pete Bogg. Great to see you, my good man. Welcome to the show. Hey, all, have you covered The Legend of Boggy Creek? Not yet. That's probably going to be in the 5th installment. We're on segment number 2 right now, Pete. And just again, folks, for people watching, next week is going to be 1970s extreme horror show next Friday night. It's going to be a doozy. I've got some giveaways, and these are from the 1970s. I just got 3. They're the same thing. They're all 3 identical items from the 1970s, and they correspond to extreme horror 1970s horror films. So I'll be doing a giveaway next week. So check it out. If you guys are around, I'd love to see you. And I think we're going to have a lot of fun next week. Just think banned, controversial, and outrageous 1970s horror films. And there's a few of those, okay, as it turns out. Werewolf says, I never heard of the Left-Handed Jedi. I was just thinking of Twilight Zone episode. Yeah, but it's weird. It's true. But you got to check out Terror at 37,000 feet, Werewolf. Dan Curtis ruled in the 70s, yes. A Cold Night's Death, thank you. 1973, folks. If you haven't seen it, it's on YouTube. It was another made for TV horror film in the 1970s, 1973, with Robert Culp. Really, and Eli Wallach, I believe, is in that as well. The acting is superb. The story is really good, and it's creepy. The ending, it's just all around creepy film. Creepy film has to do with intelligent chimpanzees. These people are like once again a remote. It's either the North Pole or it's Antarctica. It's like a remote. They're trapped, it's dead of winter kind of thing, so they can't go anywhere. And there's these super intelligent chimps, and they're not liking being, caged up and stuff anymore. Let's put it that way. A Cold Night's Death. And it is on YouTube. And I am absolutely sure it is on Creature Features on YouTube. Savalas was in Europe doing spaghetti westerns and Kelly's Heroes. Thank you, Mike. You're very welcome, Holly. A Cold Night's Death. Yes, worth seeing. It's on YouTube, guys. Oh, wow. Who Asked Holly is also Australian. We've had some just the best Australian people. Well, of course, people from Australia are great. And talk about some freaking movies. Now, folks, that's another realm. As far as I'm concerned, Peter Weir is one of the great filmmakers of the period. God, I mean, if you haven't seen The Last Wave or The Cars That Ate Paris, I've got that on DVD. I'll be showing that to you next week. Or, geez Louise, what was there's several Peter Weir films. Year of Living Dangerously is another great Weir film. That was later, though. That was with Mel Gibson. But The Last Wave, fantastic. And The Cars That Ate Paris, highly recommended. Australian flicks. It's yes, it's been a cold night's death. Oh my God. I think you've got something coming. I just hope it's not catchy. Now that is funny. It's hilarious. Chuck Connors and Buddy Ebsen were also in yes, both Terror at 37,000 feet, folks. Chuck Connors, Buddy Ebsen, William Shatner. It's a great cast. It's a good film. It is just the only thing that mars that film at all are some of the special effects. That's it. I'm telling you, it's really good. I enjoy. I've seen it like 3 or 4 times, just to give you an idea. Matheson was all over the original Twilight Zone. Yes. Werewolf by Lunchtime. Ooh, he slides me a super chat. Hello, Werewolf. Thank you. Good Lord. Here's that $10 I promised you, Mike. Thank you, Werewolf. I appreciate that. You are a mensch. You're a scholar and a gentleman, not necessarily in that order. Thank you, my good man. Don't be afraid of the dark. Ken Soto Lampla, sorry about that, Lampla, is correct. That's the one about the potato head creatures living in the house. It's called Don't Be Afraid of the Dark. And it was remade by Guillermo del Toro later, like, God, 2010-ish, I want to say, somewhere in there. But the original creatures were like 3 foot high. Then they kind of had potato heads. That, and it's creepy. It's another creepy film. Thanks for that that info, Ken. And good to see you on the show. I don't know if you've been on here, but welcome to the show. We're in Australia Hall. Pete Bogg. Hello, Pete Bogg. Unreleased film, The Night Killers, with Darren McGavin. Yeah. Well, it's just an unmade film, Apex. The script exists. The screenplay written by Richard Matheson and William Nolan exists, and Dan Curtis owns it. So he could do something with it if he wanted to. I just picked up Matheson's The Shrinking Man. Looking forward to reading it. Well, there's another one, too, that's on the Sci-Fi Horror Book of the Month Club list, folks. That would be I Am Legend, which was turned into, of course, The Last Man on Earth, and The Omega Man, and whatever the hell that other one was. Maybe it was called I Am Legend. A really bad remake or adaptation with that guy. It's just terrible. But in any case, that's one that I think we're going to cover that down the road on the Sci-Fi Horror Book of the Month Club. By the way, next week, folks, we're covering Who Goes There, a.k.a. The Thing. Yes, the John Carpenter film 1982, the 1950s film The Thing from Another World. They came from the original novella written in the 1930s by John W. Campbell called Who Goes There? And so that's what we're going to look at next week on the Sci-Fi Book of the Month Club. Hope to see you there. It's just going to be like an hour. of the show. The rest of the show is going to be the extreme horror of the 1970s show. So it's going to be an action-packed next week, folks. Who Asked Holly says, East Coast, lol, sorry, don't want to give away my location. Understandable. That's cool. Oh, he's in Perth. Werewolf is in Perth. Hello, K.O. Joe. Great to see you, my good man. He was in Psycho too, I remember correct. So many great things he has written. West Coast. Robert Block, I know from Psycho, but I think Matheson was on it too. Oh, maybe. I don't know. Wormwood was a great Aussie flick. That's relatively new, I think. Picnic at Hanging Rock, another great Peter Weir film. God. Also, the Walkabout. It's fantastic. Left-Handed Jedi. Spectre. Robert Culp. Roddenberry. He had another one. God. 1977, man. Incredible. They almost became a series. If you haven't seen that, folks, you can check. Spectre is on YouTube. It's a movie, and it's great, man. Robert Culp, John Hurt, but and who's the guy that works with Robert Culp? I keep forgetting his name. Just a really great film. If you get a chance, check out Spectre. Thank you, Left-Handed Jedi. 2011. Thank you, K.O. Joe. Sounds like I need to watch it, along with Terror at 37,000 feet. Yes. The Manitou. Another one, man. I remember seeing that. It was either at the drive-in or in the cinema when it came out. No doubt about that. That was one that everybody was talking about. Robert Culp, Demon with the Glass Hand, shot in the building. Blade Runner. Yes, indeed. All right, folks, let's get back to it, shall we? Good Lord. Yeah, check this out. Talk about a triple. Now, this would be a triple bill, wouldn't it? Holy shit. Black Christmas, Rabid, and Phantasm. Yeah, that would be fantastic. Black Christmas, once again, what can be said? This is, I don't as it says horror holiday. It's one of my favorite holiday films. But I don't want to like it. I don't think that it deserves being pegged as just a holiday horror film. It's much better, much more than that. It is a great freaking horror movie. By any metric, Black Christmas. Good God. It's Bob Clark once again, folks. Children shouldn't play with dead things, Bob Clark. Okay. And of course, he famously made A Christmas Story with Darren McGavin. You know, that lighthearted comedy drama. Darren McGavin, that's the same guy. That's Bob Clark. Okay. Check out the cast. Olivia Hussey, Cara Dulia, Margot Kidder, John Saxon, Andrea Martin from SCTV is also in this film. What a creepy freaking movie. God. It's just one of those films. Once again, it's, when you watch it the first time, you're like, okay, what is this thing? Is it a killer? Is it supernatural? What is going on? And that's what really makes it creepy and edge of your seat. And of course, the whole, phone call type of thing. God, it's just really good. Sorority sisters are as good as dead when they're stalked by a psychopathic stranger over the Christmas holiday. In this influential slasher, you're not just whistling Dixie on that influential slasher film. This is like, it's that's one of the original. And it's not even, I would hesitate even calling it a slasher film. I wouldn't degrade it that much. In my opinion, it's just a great horror film. Great script, great acting. John Saxon's really good. The intensity of this film is hard to deny, and it is on Tubi. I highly recommend it, folks. Any time of the year, watch the original Black Christmas, 1974, Bob Clark. It's tremendous. And I highly recommend Rabbit. I love early Cronenberg. I don't know about you guys. This is fairly early Cronenberg from 1977. They've got a few Cronenberg films on Tubi now. I noticed they had Dead Ringers, and Shivers is also on Tubi. So they've got at least 3 Cronenberg films on Tubi. An experimental surgery leaves an injured motorcyclist with a thirst for human blood, spreading a disease that turns people into ravenous monsters. Starring, of course, our favorite porn star, Marilyn Chambers, in the starring role. Directed by David Cronenberg. Good Lord. What a great low-budget horror flick. And you could call it sci-fi horror. It's got those elements, definitely. And I do have a little trailer for you.
All around her, people are dying, and only Rose knows why.
You gotta come quick. You gotta come quick and get me.
It's Rose. It's gotta be. Something's happened to Rose.
Health officials have said they consider the outbreak of the new strain of rabies as being potentially the worst of this century.
Don't scream. Don't panic. He's dead, and the dead can't hurt the living. Rabbit.
The Prime Minister was reluctant to officially declare a state of emergency, but as any citizen in the streets can tell you, martial law has come to Montreal.
Standing over that way, please. Get that guy. I'm sorry, sir. You can't go right. I'm sorry, sir. You don't have a card. Now, please.
Shooting down the victims is as good a way of handling them as we have got.
Stop! Stop or I'll shoot!
You can't trust your mother. Your best friend. The neighbor next door. 1 minute, they're perfectly normal. The next, rabid.
I love it. Look, Marilyn Chambers is good in this film. I think she did a great job, you know, and it's early Cronenberg. It's very low budget. It's, you know, exploitation cinema, certainly. But if you haven't seen it, check it out, man. It's now on Tubi, and it's well worth a watch, as is one of his other early films, Shivers, a.k.a. It Came From Within, or They Came From Within, something like that. In any case, it's on Tubi as Shivers. Both really good flicks. Could be a good double bill. Next up, Phantasm Remastered, folks. Yeah. This is the recent remastering to 4K. And it looks freaking great. 1979 sci-fi horror spectacular from Don Coscarelli. Remastered 1979 horror classic about two brothers who discover that their local cemetery is run by a ghoulish mortician wreaking havoc on the damned. Boy! Starring Michael Baldwin, Bill Thornberry, Reggie Bannister, Angus Scrimm, and Lynn Eastman. Good old Coscarelli, man. God, he's made some, you know, Phantasm's one of those movies, and John dies at the end. That's why we're going back to the 21st century, folks, because there's films like John Dies at the End in the 21st century, amongst many others, at least a few dozen that we got to cover. The 21st century has produced some fantastic science fiction and horror films. I think you will agree. So we will get there. We'll get there. I promise you. In any case, Phantasm Remastered, folks. This trailer doesn't really do it justice, but it's still good. I think you'll enjoy it. Check it out.
Phantasm. The delusion of a disordered mind. A phantom. A spirit. A ghost. For nearly 4 decades, it has been contained. But evil always has a way of breaking free.
Tommy's gone. It's hard to believe. It was a good idea not to let your little brother come to the funeral.
Yeah, I don't like this place. Something weird is going on up there.
The funeral is about to begin, sir.
What's wrong with you?
There's something up there. I saw it.
You got some kind of an overactive imagination or something?
I know you're not gonna believe this, but these things were here.
Oh, give me a break. Okay, I believe you.
What we gotta do is lay that sucker out flat and drive a stake right through his goddamn heart.
You're gonna run that tall bastard straight down to hell.
You play a good game, boy. But the game is finished. Now you die.
Phantasm.
Great, man. Look, if you want to check it out, an incredibly clean version of Phantasm. Check it out on Tubi. They got it. They got the remastered version now on Tubi, folks. Fantastic. Let me get back to the chat for a second. Left-Handed Jedi says, Gig Young. Thank you. Gig Young worked with Culp Inspector. Thank you. Who Asked Holly says, I think Scott Ryan is one of the best writer, actor, producer, director to come out of Australia, but he was born in 1973. Scott Ryan. What films has he done? Holly, can you list a couple of? I'm not familiar with Scott, the name there. Triple features at the drive-in. Indeed. 'Tis the season to go slaying. Rabbit had a famous, yeah, that was Marilyn Chambers. Apex Comics, I'm dreaming of a black Christmas. Indeed. I'm screaming of a black Christmas, perhaps. We've traced the call. It's coming from inside the house. Ah! Canadian flick Black Christmas, indeed. Marilyn Chambers, yes. Are you, okay, now look, K.O. Joe, them's fighting words. Okay? Are you kidding me? My good man. Lord. Steve says, yes, she is why tonight's episode will be taken down. I know. Just the name, just the mention of Marilyn Chambers is going to fucking ban this particular episode. The Rabbit remake is pretty good too. Yeah, not as good as the original though. I did see that too. That remake. Yes, that would be one hell of a triple bill. Rabbit after Shivers, right? Phantasm, of course. Yeah, Cronenberg is the body horror master, no doubt. Oh no, they shot Santa. The 70s, not a sequel in sight. No, man. They were just jamming on freaking originality, really. See, he says, or at least good high concept stuff. You know what I'm saying? Shivers was out just before AIDS hit big. New twist on horror, very different from the monsters in Feast. When producers had balls. Phantasm 2, hard to find. have to leave early. Good night, Kevin. Have a great weekend, my good man. Great film. Aquamat. Welcome, Aquamat. I don't know if you've been here before. If you have not, welcome to the show. Tubular Bells. Little exorcist action going on there. Equinox was the influence for Evil Dead. Indeed. In 4K. Equinox is not on Tubi. It is on YouTube. You can check it out. It was on Tubi. Yes, the Soska sisters. Yep. Bad Robot. Bad reboot. How did they get their hands on Phantasm? Just money. You know, like, look, we'll remaster the film. It deserves to be remastered. You know, that type of thing. Scott Ryan, Mr. In-Between. Wow, I'm going to have to check that out. Thanks for the tip. Werewolf says, I was born in 71 and only saw 2 films at the cinema, Star Wars and Superman in the 70s. Okay. Phantasm 2, even better. It is good. I like Phantasm 2. All right, folks, look, let's get back to it. Oh, my God. Okay, now look, the majority of Herschel Gordon Lewis films we're going to cover are going to be in the 60s, of course. It just so happens that The Wizard of Gore came out in 1970. So it's got to be technically part of this list. And the way that I look at Herschel Gordon Lewis films is that, yeah, he was one of the first in the early 60s to have a lot of quote unquote gore in his films, but it's really bad gore. I don't know what else to say about it. It's not, I wouldn't call any of his films extreme for that reason. It's just that the effects just don't look that good. You know, he's trying to be shocking, and maybe in the early 60s it did shock people, you know, but it's not, just really not very good, typically speaking, with the special makeup effects. In any case, The Wizard of Gore. A sinister magician plays hypnotic, bloody tricks on his unsuspecting audience members. Soon he's investigated by a local reporter. Herschel Gordon Lewis. He's got a ton of them, folks, and got at least 4 or 5 of them are on Tubi. Next film you may have heard of under a different name. It's called Death Dream, but it's also called The Night Andy Came Home from 1974. And it's a variation, a takeoff on The Monkey's Paw. As it says, a grieving mother is granted a monkey's paw when she's told her son has died in Vietnam. She wishes it not to be true, and he returns home that night. So there you go. It's, you know, definitely it's worth watching. It's a great film of the time, of the 70s. It's during the Vietnam War, or just after the Vietnam War. You know, so yeah, it's got those elements, and of course it does have the monkey's paw theme in it. This also happens to be one of Tom Savini's first jobs, if I'm not mistaken, as far as special makeup effects goes. This may have been his first feature film, if I'm not mistaken. Once again, directed by Bob Clark, folks. Yes, Strip Club Massacre. I have not seen it. I have not seen that. I didn't realize he directed Loose Cannons either. But, of course, he did Black Christmas and A Christmas Story and Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things. So, once again, this is Bob Clark with Death Dream, or The Night Andy Came Home. Next up, 1971, folks. It's one that we've talked about before, but now we're finally going to delve into it a little bit. The Blood on Satan's Claw. Woo! From across the pond in England. Fantastic period piece horror film with a great cast. As it says, in the 17th century England, a judge is all that stands between a small village and a coven of devil worshippers, methodically converting its children. Patrick Wymark, Linda Hayden, Oli Toledo, Mary Andrews, Michelle Dautrice, directed by Piers Haggard. And this is one of those films, folks, you need to check out. I love the key art here. That is just beautiful. And it's really a trippy flick. It's creepy. It is a creepy film about basically, about, about evil taking over the children of this village. That's basically it, and it's very good. Let's put it that way. It is very good. Definitely worth seeing a few times, and I do have a trailer for it.
When the grave of the devil is disturbed by the plow, the satanic essence of evil wreaks violent and revolting revenge.
But it weren't human, sir. There were fur.
Then it was an animal's remains.
It were more like some fiend.
And the evil grows quickly, attacking first the youth of the village and making them the devil's children.
Ralph, look. Look.
Oh, God, I prayed I'd never see that again. That's what they call the devil's skin.
Doctor, witchcraft is dead and discredited. Are you bent on reviving forgotten horrors?
How do we know, sir, what is dead?
Blood on Satan's Claw was like a horrible disease, highly contagious and deadly dangerous.
Hail, Behemoth, spirit of the dark, take thou my blood, my flesh, my skin, and walk. Holy Behemoth, father of my life, speak now, come now, rise now from the forest, from the
Blood on Satan's Claw stars Patrick Wymark as the judge who tries the devil, Linda Hayden as Angel Blake, daughter of Satan, Barry Andrews as a victim, but innocent, Michelle Dautrice as the devil's child, and James Hayter as the village squire.
Thou stole my master's skin. Thou shalt pay with thine.
I think thou could be saved.
These dogs know how to tear the devil's heel.
Thou telltale bitch, thou set the dogs on me. Of course I didn't. Art thou ready to give thy skin tonight? Art thou ready?
Blood on Satan's Claw.
There you go, folks. A little trailer for the Blood on Satan's Claw. Recommended. It is on Tubi. And yeah, it's quite a film. Okay, look, sometimes, occasionally, it's kind of pedestrian in its pacing. Kind of a slowly paced film. But, look, overall, it's really good. It's creepy. And it is just classic British horror filmmaking, There's no doubt about that. Recommended. And the print is really good on Tubi. It looks quite nice. So there you go. Blood on Satan's Claw. And we're still across the pond here, folks. And still in 1971 with The House That Dripped Blood. Yes, indeed. Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing together again in this anthology. As it says, Robert Bloch, the one and only, the author of Psycho, presents a quartet of terrifying tales with a great cast: Joanna Lumley, Chloe Franks, Denham Elliott, Joanna Dunham, and Tom Adams in this. It's really quite good. I enjoyed it tremendously as a horror anthology film. I don't know if I actually have the... Oh, I guess I do. Yeah, I've got a trailer here for it.
This house is full of sounds. The loudest is your heart pounding in the night. The softest is the sound of terror.
Is it?
Oh, Charles.
No, please.
In this house, terror waits for you in every room.
Where are they? You must search the house, but you must find that dog.
Vampires, voodoo, vixens, and victims. You'll find them all in the house that dripped blood.
There you go, folks. Trailer for The House of Drip Blood. I forgot John Pertwee, one of the original doctors in Doctor Who, also in this film, and Ingrid Pitt happens to be in this film. So you got a ton of great actors. It's really good. It's Robert Bloch, 4 stories from Robert Bloch. You can't lose. If you have not seen the film, highly recommended. If you like horror anthology films, you got to check out The House That Dripped Blood. It's really quite good. Now, these next 2 films I paired together for a reason. Okay, obviously the 1970 film, The Dunwich Horror, it's an adaptation of the H.P. Lovecraft story, The Dunwich Horror. Okay. Night of the Seagulls, I'm not quite sure what's going on with this film. I've seen it. And I watched it again when it came back on Tubi. But tell me, I'd like to hear people in the chat what they have to say about this, because, okay, you have a couple, right? They moved to the seaside, kind of remote seaside village. All the people are strange and they're not talkative and stuff, and they act kind of weird. And you know that in the medieval times, these knights lived, and they would find women in the village and sacrifice them to this weird frog deity. It's like this big statue. It looks like kind of a demon frog. And they kind of look like the Knights Templar, but obviously the Knights Templar didn't worship a demon frog, for Christ's sake. Okay? So that whole thing, the idea that they're sacrificing these women to this frog deity, is very much Shadow over Innsmouth type of thing. It's seaside town. You got weird people, townsfolk that don't like to talk to outsiders and all that stuff. So it's got a Lovecraftian angle to it. And then of course these knights, these dead people that have come back from the grave, and they continue, hundreds of years later, they continue to sacrifice women to this frog deity creature. And that's the gist of Night of the Seagulls. All right. So I'm going to play the trailer here. I'm going to play a little bit of the trailer. It's a 5-minute trailer, folks. I'm not going to subject you to 5 minutes of it. Okay. Just maybe a minute and a half.
A new terror fills the screen with horror. The Night of the Seagulls. Where are these women going, dressed in mourning, leading a young girl to sacrifice? Mystery surrounds the horsemen from the ancient past. The Night of the Seagulls.
There you go, folks. That's, if you want to watch the entire trailer, it's on YouTube. It's inexplicably 5 minutes long. Pretty much shows it's like a condensed version of the entire freaking movie. I don't know why. But as you saw in the trailer, you see at the very beginning, there's like this weird looking frog deity, this statue. And that's what they're sacrificing the women to on this, the seaside town. Well, it's, if you're familiar with the Shadow over Innsmouth, H.P. Lovecraft's story, there are these, the townspeople in the first place. Some of them look like kind of like semi-frog type of creatures, because they've been mating with these sea creatures, right? So over a period of time, the entire town is turned into they're kind of semi-human, but they've got fish and frog-looking attributes. So that's the thing about this Night of the Seagulls, is that when you watch it, you're like, okay, definitely there's a Lovecraftian thing, but they never get into it. They never really explain anything about that, like why they're worshiping this weird mutant frog god type of thing. And it's kind of a slowly paced film. They've got these, knights that come back, and they're all skeletons, and they kind of move slowly. They're not much of a threat. And they discover at one point they can light them on fire. I'm just like, okay, just light them on fire and kill them, for Christ's sake. I don't know. What's the problem? It's interesting though. I mean, I did watch the entire film. Okay. And I saw it many years ago, and there's a couple of other films that are kind of sequels to it. One takes place on a Spanish galleon, and it's the same skeletal knights, the creatures that are menacing these people on a ship and so forth. But yeah, they just never really talk about this weird frog deity, very Lovecraftian. Okay. Which brings us to the actual Lovecraft adaptation, the 1970 film, The Dunwich Horror, starring Dean Stockwell. Okay. Now, let me get through the particulars here first. When a stranger arrives on campus, a graduate student falls under his spell. Her professor must save her from a mysterious and sinister ritual. Starring Sandra Dee, Dean Stockwell, Ed Begley, and this Sam Jaffe is also in this. But unfortunately, folks, and look, I've read a lot of Lovecraft, a ton of it, and I've read and reread The Dunwich Horror several times, at least in my life. This is the worst Lovecraft adaptation I've ever seen. The worst. It's crap. It has nothing to do, very little to do with the story. In the first place, Dean Stockwell's character, Wilbur Whately, which is in the book, right? He's the main character. No, he's not wooing women, folks. He's like a freak. The guy is like ready to change into a interdimensional demonic animal. They just completely made it like, oh yes, well, we have to have this kind of vague love interest between Dean Stockwell and Sandra Dee. And that is just bullshit. There is no Sandra Dee character, okay, in the story. So that there you go. It's just a complete load of bollocks. And as far as I'm concerned, yeah, it is the worst Lovecraft adaptation. I have heard that initially what I understood was that Richard Stanley was going to do an adaptation of the Dunwich Horror. Now, he did a recent adaptation of Lovecraft's The Color Out of Space with Nicolas Cage, which is very good. It only deviates on a couple of points really from the book, but it's overall really well done. And I think he could handle the Dunwich Horror. The story is really heavy and it's intense. It is an intense freaking story. Unlike this movie, okay, folks? When you read the story, it has an impact on you. There is no doubt about it. I mean, the way that they describe this entity moving through the countryside, it's creepy as hell. Lovecraft just had a way of describing the indescribable, really, and making you connect with it. That was the great thing about Lovecraft's work. In October, I'm going to take a kind of another deeper dive into Lovecraft, at least for one segment, maybe two segments. Lovecraft films, you've probably all seen a lot of the latter adaptations in the 1980s, Reanimator, From Beyond, Dagon, for example, which is actually early 2000s, all Stuart Gordon films. So we're gonna, we'll be getting back to some Lovecraft towards Halloween, of course, naturally towards Halloween, my good fiends. But let me get back to the chat here, because I know a few people have chimed in with some commentary. Good Lord. Let me, God, at least get this thing. I don't know. Well, that's no good. Where was the... Do that. Let me see what happens here. Okay, it's still doing that. It's weird. Oh, there it goes. That's pretty good. All right. And slight technical difficulties, folks. Where were we? Okay, Steve says, Met Hershel Gordon Lewis in Toronto. Stuff was shocking, gross out B drive-in stuff. Yeah, the blood looked like paint. The limbs looked like mannequin arms. That's it. That's really what, the whole thing. In the 60s, it may have been shocking. And 2000 Maniacs is kind of a shocking film. I mean, when I first saw it when I was young, it was like it made an impression, definitely. That particular film. Steve says Savini was a war photographer in Vietnam. Yeah, he's seen some things, met him a couple of times. I did as well at a few conventions. He has an eerie aura about him. He's an intense guy. Well, he's been in the shit, folks. So, he's got that intensity. Werewolf by Lunchtime says Michelle Dautrice. Some mothers do have them. Star of popular UK comedy from the 1970s. Biggest show at the time, actually. Wow. Okay. Yeah, Michelle Dautrice, folks. One of the stars of, geez Louise, God. Blood on Satan's Claw. There we go. There. Lots of devil worship in the 70s. Yeah, what it was, Apex, was, especially with the Brits, it was folk horror. It was all about folk horror. And there's just a lot of great legends, I mean, look, we have our devil legends here in the U.S., but, man, in the U.K. especially, they got a ton of freaking, legends around witchcraft and devil worship and all that stuff. Fascinating. It was strange to see both Wendy Padbury being graped and Anthony Ainley as a corrupted priest. Okay. Classic Doctor Who. Yes, indeed. I loved it. Misty English Force and Wenches, What's Not to Love? It's a very dark and disturbing film. I grew up watching The Fourth Doctor in the 1980s. Yep. Well, that was actually, was late 70s. That was, what was it, 4 seasons for Tom Baker? I don't know. I want to say that was late 70s, though. Maybe late 70s into the 80s, folks. Steve says, what if I told you Leonard Nimoy was a bounty hunter in spaghetti western? Catlow. Left-Handed Jedi. Leonard Nimoy had a bit part in Them. Yep, Giant Ants movie. You're absolutely correct. Young Joanna Lumley, who played Prudy in the TV series The New Avengers with Patrick McNee. The House That Dripped Blood has a Doctor Who connection to John Pertwee. Yep. And the divine Ingrid Pitt. Empire of the Ants was great. Amicus took over where Hammer left off for a while. Loved House That Dripped Blood. It's on Tubi. 8-bit. Well, you may, yeah. Now you're in the UK, so I know you get Tubi. I just don't know if you get, because the rights are going to be different. You're not going to be able to see all the stuff we see here in the States and vice versa. I'm sure you guys can see stuff on Tubi there that we cannot see here. Part of a trilogy. Thank you, Dave James. Yeah, there's, the one that takes place on the boat on the Spanish galleon. There's, of course, the original Night of the Seagulls. And there's another one, too. And they all have the same creatures, the skeleton guys. But I think only the first one has the frog god, the deity. Amphibian representation. Fourth Doctor, greatest ever. I got to tell you, folks, yeah, that was, it was Doctor Who, played by Tom Baker. And I was at the very first WhoCon WhoCon 1 in Los Angeles when I was a teenager. This was late 70s. Once again, I'm a teenager. And I've told you this story before, but it is pretty hilarious. We are all waiting in one of the main halls because Tom Baker was the guest of honor for WhoCon 1. He was late. The plane he was on was late in England, I guess, taking off by a couple of hours. So he's a couple hours late. He gets to Los Angeles, and that's a long ass flight, folks, right? That's like a 9-10 hour flight. And he walks into the room holding a glass with 2 celery stalks, and he's just finishing up another Bloody Mary, and you can tell that he's kind of lit, which is totally fine and understandable. And he sat down, and everybody had a great time. It was great. It was fantastic. People are asking him questions. He was telling stories about being in Doctor Who as the 4th Doctor, and yeah, all of that stuff. It was fantastic, man. Really, really great. Seagulls is the final installment of the Blind Dead series. Okay, Night of the Seagulls is the final one. So what is the deal with the frogs, Dave James? Why is there like a frog deity suddenly? Because I never saw a frog deity in the other ones. I don't know what the hell. It's weird. Kneel to the frog, harlots. That's basically what was going on. Deep ones were kind of fish-like and frog-like. Kind of fishy frogs. Like humanoids from the deep. Dean Stockwell was in the remake as a good guy. Yeah, and he wasn't even like, look, Wilbur Whateley in the story, folks, is a total freak. I mean, this guy, he looks weird to begin with, and then he just starts looking weirder and weirder. Okay? He has no relations with women. Let's put it that way. He's just totally bizarre. Gotta agree, the Dunwich Horror is it's pretty freaking bad, yeah. I would love to see if somebody could pull it off. Richard Stanley might be that guy. I don't know. I don't know if they're going to do that. Radamas says, I can't wait for next week in the Frozen Hell book review. I have a lot of thoughts about it. Excellent, Radamas. It's going to be fantastic next week, folks. We are doing number 2 Sci-Fi horror book of the month club, and it's going to be on The Thing, which was adapted from Who Goes There and Frozen Hell. So those are new novellas. If you don't have the books, you can listen to the audio narration of Who Goes There on YouTube if you'd like. But we're going to be comparing. Let me just end this. There we go. This is the book Frozen Hell. This is the novella. They added 45 more pages. They found 45 more pages. And so Who Goes There became Frozen Hell. But both are still, legitimate as far as I'm concerned. I've read both. And so we're going to be comparing Who Goes There and Frozen Hell to the movies. To, of course, the 1950s film The Thing from Another World, produced by Howard Hawks. John Carpenter's 1982 film, The Thing, and, of course, the prequel, the 2011 film, also called The Thing. And see how where the differences are, like, similarities and differences between the original novella and the movies. Yeah, I think you're going to be rather surprised. As far as like characters in the original novella versus characters in the subsequent adaptations. The way, obviously, well, you guys know, if you've seen the movies, you kind of to have a little bit of an idea as far as like the way the creature is portrayed in the 1950s film as opposed to John Carpenter's film and how it is in the book. So we're going to take like an hour maybe of next week's show and do our Sci-Fi Book of the Month Club and talk about The Thing and who goes there. The other part of next week's show that you're not going to want to miss is 1970s extreme horror movies. Yes, the ones that were controversial, the ones that were banned, the ones that were outrageous. We're talking about the creme de la creme of hardcore horror films from the 1970s. That's going to be a show that's probably going to get banned, probably going to get removed from my channel. But nevertheless, we are going to be doing that. We're doing it next week, damn it. I tell you. Let's see here. We have the architecture in the UK to make spooky movies. Yes. It is just great, man. To make classic folk horror. There's a great documentary. It's 3 hours long on British folk horror, you know, as far as films and the original legends and so forth. It's fantastic. You know, going back to The Wicker Man, Mark of the Devil, Blood on Satan's Claw, all of these films, The Witchmaster General. Teenage Horror Mike Retrospect. Tom Baker, born in 1934, still going strong. He's still alive and kicking. Peter Cushing was a doctor here in Canada. He was in the movies, yeah. It played in the theater. I Googled Lovecraft Frog God and came up with Sathagua. Sathagua. Yeah, I think that's it. Sathagua. There you go, folks. Frog God. I think that's where they took the idea from Lovecraft and Sathagua, the frog deity, for the Seagulls movie, Night of the Seagulls. I swear to God. Doctor Who and the Daleks. Oh, yes. We also got Skippy the Bush Kangaroo. Oh, Skippy. I have not seen that. I have not seen Skippy the Bush Kangaroo, guys. I may have to check out some stuff. There's got to be some stuff on YouTube. I'll check it out. Sing the song, Skippy, a Friend Ever True. 1970 extreme horror movies. That's it. There are definitely, matter of fact, what I'm thinking about, Left-Handed Jedi, is just to do a show on giallo films. There's too many of them. It just seems like if I just mention a couple of them, it's not enough. And right now, Tubi's got about 30 giallo films. So I feel compelled to do a show on nothing but giallo films, you know. So that's going to be coming up at some sooner than later. Let's put it that way. Yes. Good old Amicus. All right, folks. All right. Well, there you have it, folks. That wraps up another night of fiendish entertainment and part 2 of the 1970s horror series. I hope you enjoyed it. Next week, as I just stated, is extreme 1970s horror films. You know, banned, burned, and blasphemied. That's what we're talking about next week, folks. It is going to be, well, it's just hardcore horror. The films that were definitely controversial and in some cases banned in many countries. So that's the focus of next week's show, along with part 2 of our Sci-Fi Horror Book of the Month Club. So I hope you will join us then. And before I go, I'm seeing a couple more people chiming in here. A haunting theme song, Doctor Who. Tubi Giallo films would be 2 shows. It could be, Dave James. They've got a ton. Have you seen Wake and Fright? Yeah, that's Donald Pleasance, right? He's in that. Australian film. That is a trippy freaking movie, man. 1971. They've got a 4K restoration on that. Wow. Oh, they're remaking. Wait, whoa. Wait a second. Not yet made. Now, are you saying that they're doing it's a restoration, or are they literally remaking the film Wake and Fright? Great show, Horror Mike. Now put on Deep Throat preview so you can make the real money. Fantastic show as usual. Thank you, 8-Bit. Phew, made it. Got to go. Have fun, guys. Watch out for sexy vampires. Have a great weekend, werewolf, and we'll see you next week, man. Take care. Yes, extreme horror. I am one of us. Get ready. Oh, restoration not yet done. Thank you, Holly. That's fantastic. That is a film that definitely deserves it. Man, there's a ton of freaking Australian movies. Good Lord, dudes. Are you kidding? Australia had its own. There's a documentary about, Australian genre films. It was actually pretty big, especially in the 70s and 80s. I mean, you just had, God, I mean, I really don't have to, I don't think I have to explain that too much. But you have the incredible Mad Max films. You had Peter Weir in there. Just a ton of, and, like films like Wake and Fright. Just odd, off-the-wall movies in that period of time during the 70s and 80s. Quite a few. In reality, Australia had a vibrant scene. Let's put it that way. And we're going to cover at least a few of those films in this 1970s series. You bet your bottom dollar on that. Linda, everybody's looking for the Linda. That's coming up. Big thanks to the chat too. Yep. Fantastic chat. Thank you guys for being here. I really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed the show. Steve says, saw it too. Wake and Fright, another good Aussie film. Yep. Thank you, Steve. I appreciate it. Wake and Fright, beer, and more beer. International horror. There's yet an entirely, I mean, look, there's, God, it's endless, folks. You could, between like Australia and New Zealand, Japan. I mean, good Lord. You could just take Italy and what we were just saying there, Giallo, and do a couple of episodes on Giallo, Italian Giallo films. No problem. Okay, guys. Thank you all for being here. Next week, get ready. It's going to be a wild show. I tell you what. There's no doubt about that. I'm really looking forward to it. And as always, as is traditional, we go out with the Starfires and Linda. Everyone have a great weekend, and I will talk to you soon.